The movie I chose for this week's review was a request from my friend Ajda. Ajda, thank you very much. It's an animated feature film called Sinbad Beyond the Veil of Mists, with voices by Brendan Fraser, Mark Hamill, and Leonard Nimoy. A powerful sorcerer exchanges identities with a king. Only the king's daughter, Princess Serena, witnesses the spell being cast. The sorcerer, now as the king, places the old king in prison, and Serena flees the castle seeking help. She finds Sinbad, a legendary sailor who agrees to take her to a mythical place called Beyond the Veil of Mists. Along the way, they encounter dangerous seas, sea monsters, and demons. This is the first feature-length animated movie made using motion capture. It's also one of the first feature animated films to be made in India using CGI effects and especially, of course, motion capture. I personally love the mythology of the Middle East. I love jinns, genies, Aladdin, magic carpets, the monsters that exist within that world. I love the architecture, the costumes, and there was a lot going for this movie with the princess, the sorcerer, the sea voyage, the monsters. There are some really interesting ideas with the architecture and some of the production designs, and some really cool ideas with the monsters that they encounter. The biggest issue with the movie is the motion capture and the animation. The whole film looks like an early 90s video game, and I'm saying a really bad one. Like, this film came out in 2000, and by then we already had Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2, and this film just looks so dated. It seemed like all the characters were really lifeless puppets. It was so hard to tell at any moment what was going through the character's head, if they were angry, happy, frustrated, or sad. They just couldn't express themselves, leaving you detached from any human connection. Some of the backgrounds look pretty good, some of the movements look kind of lifelike, but overall these were very, very stiff characters. A lot of the environments, take the boat for instance, there just wasn't any detail to them, and they just seemed like empty digital space. There's at the climax of the movie, like the main bad guy gets like a potion thrown at him, and he starts moving around, like reacting to it and transforming, and then he falls off a cliff. It looks so bad and jittery. It's like so funny thinking an animator sitting in a theater watching that draft go through going, yep, that's the best we could do. It's so bad. There's some interesting moments in this film of self-sacrifice, which is really interesting to see in a kids movie. There are some really fantastical moments as well, which took me completely by surprise. I can't spoil what they discover towards the end, or towards the middle of this film, because I thought there was some real good originality to the characters, to the alien-like things that they discover, some really cool architecture and design to the environments, but it definitely wasn't enough to save the movie. But again, I don't want to get into it too much because I don't want to spoil this movie, although most of you probably won't even watch this film. It also took a long time before you met the main character Sinbad. He didn't appear in the film until 19 minutes into the movie, which is insane. That whole first act just seemed to drag, and then finally you meet Sinbad and you're like, oh, that's right, this movie's about Sinbad. I just want to say, with the modern cinema and special effects and everything like that, it would be a really great time to make a Sinbad movie or a movie based on the Arabian Night Tales or something like that, because they could pull off some really awesome stories here and recreate all the monsters and mythologies that exist within those tales with modern special effects. But as far as Sinbad Beyond the Veil of the Mist go, again, thank you Ajda for the request, but this was a very, very hard film to watch.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our podcast at www.podmeifyoucan.com.